And I think it's important to make the point here. We're talking about individuals whose lives are in shambles, who are about to fall through the cracks, and the only place that they can go to is a place that statutorily has been set up on behalf of those individuals who we regularly term the poorest of the poor. And that is, these individuals are homeless, they're at risk, and they really are, apart from support that they may or may not be getting in the community, they are really at risk of falling through the cracks.
And what you mean by being at risk is the clients are they're going through either mental or physical disabilities, and they are not able to get assistance from anywhere else. And usually during the Social Security process, it takes a couple of years in order for them to qualify. So now that means that they are definitely on the edge of the crack. They're about to fall through. And so the township is that safety net for those type of people in our community that needs that type of help.
If the referendum to fund the township passes, how much more should the owner of a median value home expect to pay? The median home value in Champaign is about $150,000.
Well, if I looked at a $150,000 home, we're looking at about $10 additional a year, which I don't know about other individuals, but my husband and I can't go out and have a sandwich and a cup of coffee for that.
How much is the total property tax bill on that same median value home?
About $3,400 a year.
Will the referendum's tax increase allow you to restore all the cuts in general assistance that were made in 2007?
No. I really took into consideration many facets of what is going on in our community, and recognizing that all of us are hitting times that are a little bit harder than they were. In 2006, when we did our first referendum, I asked for 5 cents versus the 2 cents. Okay. And that would have roughly brought our budget up to right a little bit under $1 million. Whereas this 2 cent increase was really meant to just give the township the critical, much needed, and actually a one-time break in the tax caps, allowing us to levy at 5.50%.
It's a small amount, but it's so important, and the work that we do at the township is so important. I think a lot of people think about how they spend their money, and this will be one way that it will be well spent.
In November 2006, a township referendum asking for an additional 5 cents per $100 assessed home value failed to pass. The upcoming referendum on the November 4, 2008 ballot only asks for 2 cents instead of 5.
If the referendum passes, what general assistance services could be restored?
Well, one of the things that we have looked at very closely, we will be able to absolutely increase our general assistance benefits from the current $150 to the state minimum of $223.
This increase from $150 to $223 per month would reverse a cut that was made in February of 2007. Another incremental service restoration would be the addition of an emergency assistance program.
And the emergency assistance program is really put in there to help those individuals. For an example, those 60 individuals that the township cut. They will be able to come to the township and on a one-time basis be able to get their needs met, whether it's power, whether they need help on their rent, But if they're facing a crisis, we'll be able to give them a one-time jump on that. And that's for the short term. Long term, we're really looking at restoring on a monthly basis at the minimum state rate, $223, all of the individuals. And I'm going to assume that really at this stage of the game, we'd be looking at about 130 clients a month. All of them back onto our basic maintenance general assistance on a monthly basis.
Even if the referendum passes, all the general assistance services that were cut in 2007 could not be immediately restored.
This is not the pie in the sky. This is really just to do the basics for which the township really does have a legal responsibility.
What was it like for you personally, having to abandon half of all general assistance recipients last year?
It was probably one of the most tragic things that I really ever had to do. It was devastating, personally, because as an elected official who ran on reforming and changing the way the township had been ran from the last 20 years, it was really important to me to be able to make that a reality. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we've worked so hard. This will be now the second attempt at a referendum and the third attempt, because this year, of course, we had the advisory referendum, which passed overwhelmingly. When our voters, when our citizens understood that we were talking about the poorest of the poor, they rallied and came out in support of the poor.
On the February 5, 2008 primary ballot, Champaign voted on an advisory referendum about the township and general assistance. The referendum asked the township board to restore the level of general assistance funding by actively pursuing any and all means available to them. The referendum passed 71% in favor.
And so, while the language is legal language and it really says nothing about what the money will actually go for, we are hoping that the citizens will understand that without this one-time release from tax caps, we might be looking at even more dire straits. And I believe that there are many in this township, proven by the February advisory referendum, that feel exactly the way I do. And even in the middle of this current crisis that we have in our economy, I believe that each of us who care deeply enough for the poor can dig into their pockets and decide to do another $10 a year on behalf of serving the poorest individuals in our community.
What is the text of the actual referendum on the ballot?
This image is exactly how the referendum will appear on the ballot. City of Champaign Township, proposition to increase the limiting rate. Shall the limiting rate under the Property Tax Extension Limitation Law for City of Champaign Township be increased by an additional amount equal to 0.02% above the limiting rate for levy year 2007 and be equal to 0.055% of the equalized assessed value of the taxable property therein for levy year 2008. A yes vote is a vote to increase township funding. A no vote is a vote to reject additional funding.
Don't forget to vote on Tuesday, November 4th, 2008.